Congratulations for buying a Keg King KegMaster XL Premium fridge. They look like this, but when you get it, it might be in a box just like this. You're gonna need to put the taps on top, and also we're gonna look at some of the equipment that comes with that. So let's do a quick unboxing and assembly video for the KegMaster XL Premium kegerator from Keg King. So once you've removed the kegerator from the packaging, you're gonna open it up and you'll find all the other equipment. So inside here, we have a drip tray that's gonna be sitting on top of the counter underneath your tap system. You have a guardrail, which you can use or maybe not use if you don't need it. You're also gonna find the regulator, which we're going to go ahead and put onto a gas cylinder today and hook up the pressure system for being able to push the beer out of the kegs or whatever other liquid you've got on tap. Because remember, it's not just about beer now. And then in here, you've got a CO2 cylinder bracket, which we can either mount to the fridge or we can just use the gas cylinder away from the fridge and bring the pressure from that cylinder to our keg system. There are some caster wheels in here as well. Now, when you buy an XL Premium, you will also have to choose which tap system you're going to be putting on top. So Keg King offers a range of different fonts. The one on top in this box over here is an UltraT font, but we also offer standard fonts and modular fonts. They all go together on top of this kegerator exactly the same. All you're going to need is a Phillips head screwdriver. So inside here, you're going to see you also have a shelf. Some people want to use their KegMaster XL Premium for beverages like, bottles of wine, cans of beer, whatever. And they're not going to use it as a keg system. But if you are using it as a keg system, you're not going to have room to have a shelf and the kegs. So the shelf is going to come out. Inside this box of equipment is your CO2 cylinder bracket with the Velcro strap that holds the cylinder in place on it. And you'll find this. This is the caster wheels with the mounting hardware to be able to put 4 caster wheels underneath your XL kegerator should you want to. This is your instruction manual. You'll find that inside as well. It has a lot of great, useful information about how your kegerator system works, things you need to know to be able to get it balanced properly, and also a little bit about the kegerator itself. Inside the back of your XL Premium kegerator is this evaporator plate. This is also known as the chill plate. Sometimes this is what you'll see that gets frost on it. It can ice up a bit. It's what's making this whole kegerator system cold, and attached to it is this font fan. This font fan tube helps to blow the cold air from inside the fridge up into your font that's going to be sitting outside on top of your fridge, or if this is going under counter or under your bar, it's going to need to go all the way up to where your taps are mounted on that countertop. You'll also need to be able to return the air back into the kegerator should you so mount your font on top of a bar or a counter system. Because what we're going to do now is put the font on top of this kegerator system. It comes with this plug, kind of a cap, to be able to cover this port on top of the kegerator. Underneath, you're going to find 4 screws in place. You're going to remove these screws, and we're not going to use them. They're not part of the font build itself. So they're just there to kind of hold the place until you put a font on there. So go ahead and remove these 4 screws. So all the fonts that Keg King sells, if they're FasTap fonts, they're all pre-assembled. That means the taps and the shanks, the lines are all pre-assembled and pre-cut to be the right length for the size of beverage tubing that we're using. So whether you're using a T-type font or if you're using a standard type font, it doesn't matter, they all mount to the top the same way. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and mount this T-type font to this kegerator system. Put the gasket down first. Line up the font holes with these ports here. Find these. This is the mounting hardware for the font. For putting this onto the top of the kegerator, you'll only need the screws and the washers. So 1 washer per screw. And in it goes into place here. For these, you won't need them. If you're mounting an UltraT font, you'll need to put these taps on. It's really simple. Inside your UltraT font box, you'll find the 5-in-1 tap tool. That looks like this. This tap spanner has 5 different parts on it, but we're only going to need this one with that little nub right there. So go ahead and take a tap and orient it into place on your font. Tap handles are just going to go right in here. There's a range of custom tap handles that you can get. We also sell slender ones, chrome plated ones, small ball shaped ones, whatever you like. When it comes to your tap handles, that's completely up to you. Now that we've got this on top, let's get our gas system ready. The gas system is going to pressurize your kegs, keeping everything fresh every time that you pour. So the gas cylinder is going to sit back here if you want it to. You've been given this CO2 cylinder bracket, and that's going to hang on these mounts right back here. While we're back here, I'll just show you, this is the new condensing lines on the Premium. They do a really great job of being able to extract heat and dissipate it into the atmosphere so that our fridge inside stays nice and cold. Outside, this will be the warm spot. So when you're positioning this fridge, you just need to give a little bit of space to the back of the fridge. About 100 mils is all we ask. And just a bit of ventilation so it can get out if this is going under a cabinet. The sides are no longer going to heat up on these because the condensing lines are all back here, which means it's really efficient, it's space saving, it's a lot of cooling capacity for this fridge. It's going to be a really great fridge for you to operate. But right here is where the bracket goes into place. Go ahead, just hang it just like that off of these attachments here. Next, get your gas cylinder. You can put it in the bracket. Some people like to have soda water on tap. Those are going to run at a different pressure to beer. So if you're one of those people, you could use 2 gas cylinders, and one would be holding 10 psi for the beer. The other might be up at 25 or 30 psi for making soda water. It's actually pretty easy because you have the 2 gas ports to run 2 different cylinders and feed 2 different pressures into your kegerator system. This is your regulator. When you get it out of the box, you'll have to put the knob on it. When it's really loose like that, there's no pressure on it, so it's not delivering gas from the gas cylinder. You're going to go ahead and put the bolt into place onto the cylinder. The ends of these are spanners. One of them you'll find fits the nut on this regulator. Go ahead and tighten it up, just like that. Nice and tight into place onto the cylinder. Your regulator comes with a swivel nut and barb for the output of the regulator. This is the gas that's going to be coming out and going to your keg system. This is a 6mm barb, and it has what's called a swivel nut on it, holding it into place on there. Now, you don't need to use it if you don't want to. You can switch to a push-in fitting, which is a lot easier to install, and that's what I'm going to do today. If you want to use the barb, you're absolutely welcome to. You just need to slide the tubing up over the barb and clamp it into place on the barb. So these gas lines are already pre-cut because they've come with the UltraT font. If you had a standard font, your FasTap kit is already pre-assembled with disconnects and the gas line splitters already on them. So in this case, with the UltraT font, find yourself a piece of tubing and go ahead and push it in as far as it will go into the push-in fitting on your regulator. Give it a nice pull, make sure it's in there nice and tight. It has to be all the way deep. Now we take the rest of this line and we push it through into the kegerator system here through this port. Inside the kegerator, once you have pushed the line through it, go ahead and find the gas line that you pushed through, take your gas line splitter and put it into place. If you have a single tap kegerator, you won't have any extra lines to have to deal with. Just the one that you push through the back is all you need to hook up your equipment. For those of you with 2 or more taps, you'll have splitters to be able to put together the gas line for as many taps as came with your system. So now it's time to hook up kegs. So depending on what kind of keg you're going to be using, if you're using homebrew Cornelius style kegs, it's this sort of a keg, which has Ball Lock disconnects that are going to be required for it. If you're using commercial kegs, we'll show you how to hook these up as well. These are the lines coming down from the font from the taps. If you're using the Ball Lock Kegs, sometimes these kits will come with the Ball Lock equipment already included, which are the black and the gray disconnects and some push-in fittings that go on them. So in this case, black means liquid and gray means gas. Screw one of these push-in fittings onto each of the liquid lines that you're going to be using. You're going to hook up the same for the gas side. Plug each of these in. Make sure that that line's nice and tight, deep inside there, and then pull it. Make sure it's connected really well. One black, one gray disconnect for each keg that goes into service. Now, if you're not using all your taps, when these are hooked up, but they're not attached to any kegs, there'll be no liquid and there'll be no gas pouring out of them. For those of you that are hooking up commercial kegs inside of your KegMaster Premium XL, you'll need to use couplers. In Australia, the easiest ones to find are A-type and D-type kegs. There are other varieties as well, depending on what you're supplied. All the couplers hook up the same, so it's very simple. A-type or D-type, do it just like this. We'll use this A-type coupler, and we'll go ahead and find that line that's coming in from the gas system, and we'll plug that in here. Now, A-type kegs stand a little bit taller than D-type kegs, which means we're going to need to fit this with what's called a low profile elbow. So the low profile elbow looks like this, and we've also put another push fitting on top of that. We'll go ahead and put that in on top of this coupler. Once the low profile elbow bend is on top of the coupler, it means we can go ahead and hook up the liquid line up to the taps. Now we'll go ahead and slide this onto our keg. And to activate it, to bring the gas in and to get the liquid out, we just activate the coupler like that. If you need an A-type coupler and you're looking for a low profile, affordable version, Keg King has a new plastic A-type coupler available. It has a low profile elbow already built in, and it's a little bit different to other couplers just in how it's designed, but it works exactly the same way. Slide the coupler into place on top of your A-type keg and simply just screw down like this to activate the coupler in place. It's a lot better and lower than other couplers out on the market. So if you decide that you're going to be using a combination of Ball Lock and commercial kegs inside your XL Premium kegerator, it's simple. You can actually get some extra components for your couplers that make it easy to swap between the two keg varieties. If you're using Ball Lock kegs, they require these disconnects, and you'll have one gas and one liquid. You can easily get them to swap over to the coupler and just use this on your gas and this on your liquid. These are 5/8 post adapters for the couplers, and we sell them here at Keg King. They make being able to switch between the two keg varieties really simple. And it doesn't matter if this is an A-type or a D-type, the 5/8 post adapters fit all the couplers. So now that your keg is in the fridge, if it isn't cold, it's going to need 24 hours to get down in temperature to be able to serve properly. So make sure that if you're given room temperature kegs, they at least have 24 hours to get to temperature to be able to serve. So we've done the hard work now of putting this kegerator together. Now it's just about setting the temperature and the pressure so we can enjoy the draft system. So at the back of your fridge is where that gas cylinder is right now. If you've decided to put the cylinder right here on the cylinder bracket at the back, go ahead and turn on the gas cylinder, but before you do, make sure that the regulator's knob is nice and loose so there's no pressure coming out of it yet. We'll go ahead and turn on the cylinder, which is going to make the high pressure gauge jump up. Now we're going to set our pressure. Because this is a short draw system, it's not going to need very much pressure in order to be able to get the beverage out of the keg and up to the tap. So someplace around 8 to 10 psi is going to be right, because we're going to keep our kegerator at 2 degrees. So first, bring this right up to about 10 psi, which in our system here is right about there. You'll hear some gas hissing sometimes. If you hear it hissing out of places where it shouldn't be, you might have a leak, so definitely get that sealed up. But as the pressure comes up, sometimes you'll hear a little bit of noise when you open these valves. If it continues and it doesn't stop, there's probably a leak. You'll have to find that. So soapy water or sanitizer spray that foams are great ways to find any leaks in your system. You want to check for leaks before you go ahead and just leave the cylinder on, because even a small leak can drain the cylinder overnight. So with our pressure at 10 psi, we'll go ahead and set the temperature on this XL fridge. So to set that temperature display, we're gonna actually go ahead and drop the temp down to 2 degrees, which is about right where most beers that you're gonna be serving that are pale ales or lagers. Other drinks will also be probably appropriate at that same temperature. So if you're serving cocktails or wines, that's a really nice storage point for the beverages. So to set that temperature, we're gonna go ahead and drop 2 degrees Celsius, right? So we can use Fahrenheit or Celsius with this button here. You can also go warmer or colder. So right now, if I wanted to go colder, I just push this until it's actually flashing, and then I can go up or down to the temperature that I want to hold. In this case, we want to bring it down or up because it was set to 1 degree to 2 degrees. We just leave it and it will begin to cool from that point. It's saying 3 right now because that's actually what temperature it is in the fridge since it's been running. You also want to, and this is very important, you want to run your font fan all the time. This helps to balance the air within the system so that it stays cold, and it also blows cold air up into the font. So one last thing that you want to make sure that you do. This is your font fan tube. You can cut this on an angle if you like to so it's not blowing straight up, but we're going to go ahead and push that as far up into the font as you can get that. That's going to help blow that cold air with the fan up into the font, keeping this nice and cold because it's sitting out of the fridge. Now the cold air needs to run back into the fridge, so if you're going to put this font on top of something and put your fridge underneath, you need to remember to connect the top of the fridge to the bar so that that cold air can return back down into the fridge and not leak out underneath your cabinetry. So that's it. You're ready to go ahead and pour. Let's put the guardrail on and the drip tray on top, and we're done. So this is your drip tray, the ones that come with the XL Premium. Go ahead and fit that around the base however you like. And then to get the guardrail in, we've already plugged up the holes with these plugs. So if you decide not to use it, you have a nice looking plug that goes on top of it and makes the surface look nice and smooth. Once we remove those, we'll go ahead and put the guardrail in. Your guardrail has feet on the base of it and they plug straight into these holes. Just give it a little push to get them to seat nicely, and that's it. Your new KegMaster XL Premium is ready to start pouring. So whether you're enjoying beers, wines, ciders, soda waters, whatever you put on tap, this kegerator is fantastic. It's going to serve you a long time. Easy to put together, really reliable. It's a fun thing to have in any household, office, or bar, wherever you decide to put one. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.